there, and welcome back to AutumnAfar. Thank you so much for joining me, and welcome back to those of you who have joined me before. As always, any of the sources I've used are linked in the description box below, and I would encourage you to do your own research and form your own opinions. Today, I'm going to be talking about travel hacks. Many of these you've probably heard before, and I've listed them in the description below with the timestamps in case you're only interested in new ones. The first travel hack is power bars. When I went to Australia, I bought a power bar and I plugged it in and I popped a breaker. Sorry. It went unused for the rest of my trip, and I even had it temporarily confiscated when I went on a cruise because they didn't want us to use them to avoid power surges, because no one would be happy if you blew a fuse in the middle of the ocean. So the one I brought was completely went unused. It had a surge protector, which is not permitted by most cruise lines, I found out, and some just don't allow extension cords or power bars of any kind, period. So I did not use that power bar in the entirety of my trip, which really sucks because it took up weight in my bag and I did not want to pay to send it home, so it just kind of stayed with me. If you plan to stay on land and in an area that uses the same type of electricity plug that you currently use, they can be super helpful, as many hotel rooms have very few plugs to begin with, but I would definitely check into what the restrictions are in advance. Another hack is not necessarily a hack, it's just a good piece of advice. Bring external batteries or extra batteries with you for your devices that take them or that might need a charge when you're outside of your accommodation or places that have power outlets. I'm sure I don't need to explain how irritating it is when your phone dies in the middle of the day or your camera dies halfway through a day tour. And you've got no way to charge it, especially with your phone. A lot of people rely on phones now as a way to get around and to pay for things, so it can be extremely difficult if that happens. So being from Canada, my phone often also dies because it's simply too cold out, which you would figure wouldn't be a problem, but it is. The only way to start these devices back up is by charging them very often, so having an external battery, external charger is extremely helpful. Generally, I take them with me pretty much everywhere I go, even if I'm just going out for the day. I will bring it with me in case I use my phone more than I expected, and I carry multiple camera batteries whenever possible, just to make sure that I don't have to stop and go find a place to charge my battery if my phone or my camera should die on me. This one isn't just for travel, but for anybody who enjoys photography. Specifically for my camera, which is a Canon Rebel T6i, there is an app which you can connect from Canon where you're able to take photos remotely using your phone. This is a phenomenal tool that I had no idea was even available until I saw another YouTuber talking about it. It's called the Canon Camera Connect app, and you can wirelessly connect your camera and take photos of yourself. Unfortunately, it doesn't work for video, but you're able to take absolutely beautiful photos of yourself, so you don't need someone to take photos for you. It's always recommended that you use a tripod because you don't want it to fall off of anything, and I've used it as well for classes where I had to take a selfie but didn't want to use my phone, which was super helpful, and people were fairly impressed by the fact that I took a selfie with my actual camera. As far as I'm aware, a few other companies have them, but I have a Canon. I don't have another camera, and I don't know anyone presently who does that uses an app, but it would not surprise me if every other major camera company has an app, and I'm really hoping that eventually they will update it to video, because that would be absolutely phenomenal. Another thing that I highly recommend bringing with you when you travel is a cooler bag. I know a lot of people forget these just when they leave their house to go and get groceries, but using these specifically when you're going to be staying in a hostel or in a hotel that has a very small mini bar or fridge, can be really, really helpful. Many of them are very sturdy, and you'll be able to either keep food warm or hot in them, and that can be very helpful for if you have leftovers or if you have something that you need to keep not frozen but chilled, and depending on how long you're going to be keeping it for. So just to clarify, freezer bags can keep food warm or cool. I really need to stop filming videos at 1 o'clock. Okay, back to the video. You can also use it for specifically when you're staying in a hostel. You can use it as a bag and lock the bag. You put a small lock on the bag to make sure that no one tries to steal your food or other items that might be in there. They're also a really big help because more places are starting to forego handing out bags or are handing out bags that are made of paper, which does not necessarily work well if you've got something that's thawing on a paper bag. I would highly recommend seeing if you're able to get a cooler bag or a thermal bag to bring with you on your regular trips. So this one is not so much as a hack as it is a personal preference. As someone who is still presently under the age of 25 and only got my license about 2 years ago, day tours have been an absolute godsend. Many rental car companies will not rent out to people under 25, or if they do, will charge a extra fee because they are concerned that people under 25 are more reckless and are more likely to get into accidents. And I also love being able to ensure that I'm able to have a good time and not worry about being tired or not being able to have a glass of wine or something like that and not being able to drive back to where I came from. So day tours are fantastic for that specifically. It's also a great way to be able to actually enjoy the scenery and not just be looking for road signs, and it helps out the local economy as long as you're traveling with small local businesses and patronizing small local businesses along the way. Another one that you've most likely heard of is Google Maps. However, I use Google Maps very often offline, not just when traveling, but when I'm at home as well. In Montreal, we have Wi-Fi in just about every store, every mall, every restaurant, grocery store, and we even have a citywide Wi-Fi network that you're able to access from the river to the mountain. So when I'm here, I very rarely need to use maps offline. When I travel, I like to download the map of the area I'm going to be staying in any given city so that I'm able to navigate my way around, and so that I know where things are that I would like to visit in advance, and I can plan out my day based on how to get there and how to get back and the things that are in between those 2 points and things that might be of interest around that area as well. Finding a local tourist office as well is usually very helpful, as they can give you maps, but they can also give you recommendations for food and tours and museums, and very often they will have discount coupons and things of that nature to try and entice people to go to restaurants that are looking for more patrons and places that want to get more clients in. So even if you're just going to be staying in your own city, it's always worth to check out the tourist office and see if they have any kind of discounts available. And tourist offices also often know places that are absolutely incredible but don't necessarily make it on Google Maps or any of the big lists, especially if they're newer or if they're smaller venues. I've gotten fantastic recommendations for restaurants and bars from people who work in the tourist office because they talk to people every day about their city and they know what's going on and where the best places to go and eat and to party and to enjoy the culture are in the city that they live in. So they're a fantastic tool, and I would really highly recommend that the next time you go somewhere new, you give it a shot. This one is not necessarily a hack, it's just, I keep saying that. This one is incredibly important. Bring pens. Pens seem so inconsequential until you need one. I cannot tell you how many times I've been at airports or train stations and I've needed to fill out some kind of form, and all of a sudden I can't find the pens I brought with me, and it is such a massive pain to have to try and find one, especially if they don't have one at the desk you're at or if they're all taken. Pens are fantastic for filling out not only these forms but to mark maps or leave notes or to keep tabs on different things. So traveling with at least 1 or 2 pens is always highly recommended if you're going to be going to multiple places where you're going to have to fill out multiple forms. This next one is going to sound very strange, but the case you have for your glasses. If you don't have glasses, I don't know what you're going to do. But personally, even though I don't need it because I always wear my glasses when I'm going to be out somewhere because I can't see far away, I always have my case for my glasses with me just in case, so that I can stick them in the case and I'll always know where to find them, even though I don't usually use it at home. I've also figured out that the case can be really helpful if you're going to be storing small items. So I've been able to store things like seashells in there when they were given to me. I've stored small pieces of jewelry if I forget to take it off. I have stored pens in there so that it's very easy and quick and accessible and I know where to find them. And I've put, tampons, all kinds of stuff in there. So it's very useful. It's something that a lot of people have access to. If you don't have one, there's a very good chance you'll be able to find someone who does, and they might be able to give you one. Just a suggestion. If you can use it, fantastic. If not, I'm sure you can find something. If you are going to be traveling carry-on only, you do have a very specific limit of what you're allowed to bring as far as liquids go. So having solid toothpaste, shampoos, conditioners, mouthwashes, and makeup often makes a massive difference and makes your life a lot easier. Again, a lot of different places are now making them. Lush is the biggest of which, that has locations all over the place, so you might be able to try out some of their stuff and see how you like it. It is a little bit more pricey, but if it's something that works for you, you could be saving a lot of money by not having to pay for checked baggage. You can also check out small local shops. Personally, I love to go to the ones that have lavender soaps from local lavender farms in the area. I also try to include solid or powdered soaps for clothes, so that I'm washing them with either a tablet or something of that nature, so that I'm not carrying around any liquids. And I also try and use anything that might be a little bit more eco-friendly, so that I'm not carrying around plastic with me as well. I'm still looking for brands that are sold in Canada that are eco-friendly. There's one that's recently come out that I might try, so we'll see how that goes. And the last one is one I've brought up before, but it's traveling with a reusable bottle. Plastic is absolutely detrimental to our planet, so I try and not use plastic. I have not had any water from a plastic water bottle in probably about 4 or 5 years at the very least, and even then I think it might have been when I was at a concert and had no choice but to drink from a plastic water bottle. Almost every major coffee place also gives discounts if you're using a reusable mug outside of the virus times that we are currently in. Having these bottles also means that you don't need to wait for a cart to pass to get water or coffee or something of that nature. You can have it with you. And one of the very last things that I want to mention, since we are in the virus times, is that I always have and will continue to travel with Lysol or other disinfectant wipes, because everything is absolutely disgustingly dirty. Everything. In the hotel, everything in the plane, in the car, everything gets wiped down. If you're not already aware, Naomi Campbell had this incredible cleaning video of herself with gloves and I think a mask, and she was wiping everything down. It was absolutely hilarious. That is exactly who I am on a flight. I wipe everything down, and no matter what, even though I do that, I always end up sick somehow, because people who are sick get on the plane, and that's how viruses spread. So it's not just helpful for wiping down surfaces, it also helps after you've eaten if you can't get up and go to the bathroom, because honestly, that's just, I try and avoid those airplane bathrooms as much as I possibly can. So they're very helpful in multiple ways. So that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I really hope you found this video helpful, As always, you can leave me a comment down below if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos. And you can find me on all social media as @AutumnAfar. And as always, I'm going to leave you with a quote. You can't do epic shit without taking a few risks. See you next time.